Look at that fucking chasing the geese.
I got it all on video. Well, if you're any kind of a freshwater angler, you can't tell me that that isn't driving you crazy. You see how clear that water is? Oh my god. I don't know what I'm more excited to do first, is either cast an actual hook in there or my camera. I think I want to throw that camera down there forever in various runs and just see how many steelhead are laying in there right now. Man, that water's beautiful. And as you can see, all the leaves are gone. So before I came here, I went all the way around the corner to where I was filming that bear last summer. Then later on, I looked at the photograph, the video, and it looked like something was standing there in that thick willow above the bear. And I zoomed in on it, and it's like, it can't look like more of a face than that. And I never ever look for that stuff. You know, there's people online that are non-stop going out with their camera and winging it all over the frickin' forest and then putting blurry images online, which, as far as I'm concerned, is an absolute waste of time. What's it even doing? It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything for the people, right? Anyway, so it doesn't interest me. That act doesn't interest me. I rarely, if ever, look in my videos in the background to see if I can see a face or anything. Very, very rarely, unless, of course, at that time that I make a video, I don't feel too good about where I am. That might raise my own curiosity. But other than that, I just don't care. I've had people, I'll bet you I've had 1,000 people email me in still shots from my videos with circled images and circled faces. And there's 12 Sasquatch behind you, you can see them. I don't see it, teach your own, but it doesn't interest me, okay? With that being said, that's why I'm mentioning to you now, but that, just because that face was so obvious to me, that dark figure that was roughly 8 or 9 feet off the ground if you go by the back of the bear that's in the same video clip. What was that? Right? I mean, it was right there in front of my face in those green leaves. And I thought later on possibly it's just a stump pile that willow's grown around. But now, after I just videotaped that same bush, it's very obviously no. There's no stump there. There's no burnt out stump pile that has willow grown around it, so. That's interesting for me to put that one to rest. Whether or not the face that I caught in my video was a face or a log, it's not a log. What else? Before I get into some more shows here, I might have mentioned that last video, I think, that I've mentioned numerous times. I've called people on social media, I don't know how many times I've basically called everybody a bunch of frickin' pussies. Embarrassing pussies when it comes to what's being done to us and the amount of people that actually care and do anything. And I said to you guys before, there is myself, many other people that are actually doing things. We're building up and working up digging, learning, taking note of, stay in contact with each other. There's people that are doing things, okay, and I'm one of them. And I just thought, the daydreaming about doing something as well as what I am doing with other people currently, and I want to do something, and I gave it a name today. I would like to call it the power shift. And we've all been hearing of the word shift, change. There's a shift coming. There's this coming. And I would like to do this. And obviously it can't be done alone, but I have a feeling I possibly know enough people with enough of a reach to possibly do this and make a statement for all of us, every single one of us. And first off, I think I would like to call it the power shift. And what the power shift, I hope, would be all of us, the people, giving, for starts, mainstream media news outlets a full-on spanking from the people, the most powerful, the true most powerful force on the face of the planet to the people. The people need to come together. The people need to take back what's been taken from us, which is honesty, the spreading of deceit, lies, manipulative, controlling, lying, sleazy mainstream news. I think we need to teach them a lesson. We need to show the world that the people are the strong force. Not the people, obviously whoever controls the people sucks all that energy from the people and controls all the narratives and feeds back to the people, uses their energy, their power against them, lies and manipulates and misleads the people. So, this is what I propose. I propose that we pick a day, or even a weekend, or even a week, just for starters, and we get as many people as we can, if not in North America, the world, and we will make a list of the most lying, dishonest news media groups manipulating our societies today, and we will annihilate their views. All right? Maybe even one day or 2 days or weekend or a week, and we will create this movement, make this group of good, honest, hardworking, pissed off people. We create this movement called the true power shift, the power shift, and we shift that power from those sleazy, manipulative, lying scumbags. We shift that power back into our palm, and we own it. And we give them a spanking and make an example and show them that when we decide we're pissed off enough, we will shift that power back into our hands, and we will control the narrative and make it truth and honesty. How's that sound? So, I think I am going to take on creating this and starting it. And you know me, I don't quit. So I won't quit. And I would like to do this. If anybody has some very serious input, constructive input, if you have experience of doing something like this, email it to me, and we will put together the true roadmap to create the true power shift, and the people are going to give the liars, the deceitful scumbags controlling mainstream media news outlets, we're going to give them a spanking. We're going to make them scared, and we're going to show them that we are the true power. All right? What do you say? Who's in? I'm all in. That'll be a fun little thing to do on the side, and hopefully it'll snowball and get very large. That movement will be very simple to do, but it needs to be done. It has to be done. Something like that, or similar to it, has to be done. It has to be done. Now is time. All right? So let's get on it. Let's get on it and give the mainstream lying bastards the spanking they deserve, and hit them where it hurts. Hit them in the viewership and the money and the revenue. If we can do it for one day as an experiment, see how successful that is, and then make it snowball from there. All right? That's what we need to do. Now, aside from that, we need the people heard. And like I said earlier, if you haven't figured out yet that this is the way, is giving every single voice respect and making sure every single voice is heard, this is the way to being truly free and powerful across the board. Every one of us, not just one or two or three of us, every one of us, right? Okay, what's this one called? This is called Face to Face with the Sasquatch. Hi, Steve. I'm telling my story on what happened to me when I came face to face with one. I thought I could trust this person with my story 6 months before the fact I had seen it. Oh, 6 months after the fact I had seen it. I told my twin brother, who thought it was cool, but brushed it off like it was a joke of some kind. Because we did make fun of Sasquatch when we were younger because of what was portrayed on television. The same month we were at the family gathering with extended family, he told my cousins I saw one, and they asked for the story. So I told them everything that happened. Here it is. I was living in Sullivan, Missouri at the time. I was visiting some friends at their house who lived out of town. I was living in an apartment at the time with another friend. We'd drive. When we would drive, we did make fun of Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever you call it. We'd take this drive almost every day. Between our houses, there was about a 15-minute drive we had to take to get to town. We had to drive through a forest. I lived there for about 6 months, from summer to winter while I was there. So when I saw it, it was dark outside between 8:30 and 9 p.m. at night. So yes, it was dark. No one would drive on this road, so I had my brights on. I come across in the middle of the road what looked to be a bear on the road. I know what they look like because I'm from Utah and saw them in the mountains while backpacking through the mountains. But my mind was telling me it was a bear. But I knew of no bears, black or brown, in the area, so I thought it was a wild pig. Never seen one at all, so I got excited. But it did not look like one, and it was way too big and hairy. I came to a complete stop in front of this thing, trying to figure out what kind of animal it was. Then it stood up at 2 feet. I immediately froze and just stared wide-eyed at this thing. My buddy was looking at picking on his camera. I'm reading this word for word. My buddy was looking at picking on his camera and froze as well. We both could not move. We smelt coming through the vents in the car, a really bad smell, something I've never smelled before in my life. This thing turned around and put both hands on each side of the car I was driving, which was a Ford Fusion, small, and got us around where we wanted to go. This thing had to be 15 feet tall to grab both sides of this car and bend down and look at us in the front window. Okay, hold on a minute. This thing turned around, put both hands on each side of the car I was driving, which is a Ford Fusion, small, and got us around where we wanted to go. This thing had to be 15 feet tall to grab both sides of this car and bend down and look at us in the front window. What I saw was etched into my mind. This thing leaned in and started screaming so loud, my whole body froze. I thought I was about to die. It sounded like a tree falling back there or something. I thought I was about to die. If this thing wanted to, it could punch through the glass and drag us out of our seats and through the windshield. But it did not. It screamed for about 30 seconds before I hit the horn of my car, and it stopped screaming and took 2 or 3 steps to the right and into the woods. It moved so fast. I took off as fast as I could. We did not talk for the rest of the drive. When we got home, we both asked the same question: did you see that? We did not talk about it from that point on. After I told the story to my cousins, they all laughed at it and said it was just a dream, or you're lying about it. They tried to tell them that I made this up, and I gave in and told them it was a vivid dream I had. They kept at laughing about it. They kept at laughing about it for the rest of the day. Those are voices on the other side of the river. I think about it all the time, still hoping that when I go out in the woods, I never have to see one again. Then years later, my older brother said he saw one. But that's another story for another time. If you want to know how I felt and the feelings and energy around me, email me back and I will tell you. Thanks again for sharing this if you do. Hey man, yeah, I want you to email me back. I also want to know what those voices are on the other side of the river. Pretty sure the camera picked that up, so we'll replay it back. It's not human to me. But I looked on Google Earth and that's just all swamp that goes back forever. There's nothing back there. I still that funny is where I had the stuff thrown at me out of the bush here too. And there's a gate blocking to get down here. So I made my way through the forest up there, went around the gate. I'm the only person down here, that's for sure. We'll be able to play that back once I get home. We'll play that back. I thought I heard a tree or something fall over in there, but then that's 100% some kind of voice we just heard, right? Oh, well, whatever. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to share another one while I'm here. I don't have to leave yet. But I do got stuff I got to do when I get home. I'm not done yet. I have to do a lot. Got my quad back today. That was a bit of a shitty story I'll tell later on. Now, one more. Hold on. First off, thanks for sending that in. I forgot to thank the person that emailed that in. I don't know if you said use your name or not. But that would be a shit eating experience. So we had an interruption when I was reading your story. You make sure you email us in anything and everything you got when it comes to knowledge about this shit, alright? Share it with the people. Get it out, get it off your chest, get your respect back here. It's a safe place. And make sure you email me more knowledge you have, okay? Especially if it's going to help the people here. Okay, man? Thanks for that email. Appreciate it. Alright, what do I got here? Southeast Texas. See if we get interrupted again. Hi Steve, grew up in Southeast Texas along the Natchez. I'm not good at Spanish pronunciation, you guys, but it's Natchez River bottoms and what is known as the Big Thicket, Neches River. It was late 70s. I was a teenager and walking through the woods, which are unlike any you've ever walked in before. There's nothing but briars, weeds, little trees. You need a machete to walk through it. I found a trail on a pipeline, and I was taking that pipeline west to a place where I had lived as a child in a little subdivision on Pine Island Bayou. It was late fall. A cold front had come in, and I was wearing my jacket. As I walked this trail, I heard something following me. It was off to my right, behind me, somewhat about 25 yards. Why is it always to the right of us we hear them following us? But for the forest being dense and thick, you really couldn't see anything but dead leaves and trees and brush everywhere. I stopped when I heard this noise like someone following me. When I stopped, it stopped about 2 steps behind me. I started walking again. I started hearing it again. I stopped, it stopped. I kept running this over in my mind as I walked forward deeper into the swamp. It wasn't a deer, it wasn't the black panther, and I'm sure it wasn't a coyote. Was there some man out there following me? I mean, here I was, a teenager, a young girl, walking out in the woods for no apparent reason. I'm sure that's what someone would think. Well, this time I stopped again and it stopped. So I looked over my right shoulder into the woods where I guesstimate the sounds were coming from. I saw nothing but fallen dead leaves and trees, that's it. I thought maybe I was losing my mind or somebody's playing a trick on me. I wasn't scared, nor was I upset. Chicken shit thing to do to a young girl is to try to sneak up on them in the woods. Well, I decided to turn around after I probably walked about 3 miles in. and I went home. I went back home. I explained to my mom, since my father was working at the time, shift work at one of the big factory plants down there. She really didn't think nothing of it. I didn't give it another thought. Well, that was the first experience I've had with what French people slash from Louisiana call a loup-garou, also known as the swamp monster, or as we like to call him, Bigfoot. Are you recording? I hope so. Well, I really never saw him until about my senior year of college when I graduated as a respiratory therapist. Yes, I had just watched your video about another respiratory therapist emailing you on how we are the Grim Reapers. He's basically right. Yeah, and we do have like a sixth sense about us. I had come in from work on a 12-hour shift, working 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Had to do a little studying for a class the next day, so I brought up my notes, sat in the garage, picked up the phone, called a friend of mine, and we studied together. It started to rain, I fired up a cigarette. Yeah, a lot of us smoke, LOL. So as I'm sitting there talking to my friend Joe, I look up outside and there he goes walking by on the property line headed south to the deeper swamps. I mentioned to my friend Joe and basically she just said, yeah, well, that's new. Or said, yeah, well, what's new? You see, a lot of us raised in that area have heard, saw it, have had that feeling that somebody's watching us, or we have just been out in the woods and been followed. He was about 7 feet tall. I'm saying he because there were no physical signs of it being female. He was walking upright. By the way, there are no bears anymore in that area of the woods. He had a grayish tint to his hair. As I looked closer, because really he wasn't about 25 feet from me, I noticed he had mud on his hair. I think about that now and I can understand why he'd be rolling in the mud. The mosquitoes are awful down on the Gulf Coast. And the gray mud, that gray color, was just like the mud back on the bayous. When you go back there, you can see the ooze pouring out of that mud, just coming up like in the Clampets opening. Uncle Judd went out to shoot some food, but all he saw was a bubbling crude. LOL. Anyway, we just went on about our business as if this was a daily occurrence for us. I graduated, moved to Tulsa with my kids, worked, and about 5 years later I moved back to Texas because the money was really good in respiratory therapy. I bought some land, about 1.5 acres, set up a little house for me and my kids. I'm divorced, so I worked like a dog back then. I'm retired now. Anyway, I was working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. This is my normal schedule. Meanwhile, my kids were 12 and 14, the oldest being a boy. We stayed with my mom when I worked. We're staying with my mom when I worked. About a mile away, you follow the road, but if you took the trail back behind my house towards Dugout and the bayou, which would be east, you could turn north and walk about 200 yards, and the kids were there at Granny's house. Well, one night I got called off because the count at work was low, so I had worked 4 hours into my shift, came home, took about 30 minutes to drive home. I just had the house set there. It was a big double wide, and I hadn't had a light for the outside put up by the electric company yet, so I had left the porch light on, and all I had to see to get from the driveway to the porch, well, a good 50 to 60 feet, was the porch light, a little 60-watt bulb, and my headlights. So I turned on the high beams and I get out of the car, leave it running, unlock the house, and as I'm opening the door to my house, I had half the door. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, this is kind of, I don't know if the reflection or because my attention's going downriver. Try that again. 60-watt bulb in my headlights. So I turned on the high beams and I get out of the car, leave it running, unlock the house, and as I'm opening the door to my house, I had half of the door of the house I had. There's no punctuation. That's what's going on. Half of the door was window, panes. I looked down towards the trail where you would take to go back to my mom's, and there squatting in my headlights. The shine of my headlights was something watching me, kind of leaning out behind a tree, but squatting, definitely. I'm native Cherokee, matter of fact, wolf clan. That's why I moved to Oklahoma. Also, my parents had moved down to Texas some years before for my dad to work. But anyway, to get on with the stories. I just kind of looked through the glass and said, hey. Walked in, set my purse down, opened everything up, and turned around, went to turn my car off, and came back in the house. It was summer, and it's hot in southeast Texas in the summer. Well, anyway, years went by. The kids grew up a little bit. At this point, still was 1999. Well, the kids were over at Granny's house with the cousins, and they were hitting golf balls in the backyard. My son told me the story first, then I took my daughter aside. My son wasn't there, and she told me the same story. While they were hitting golf balls to the back of the property, a Bigfoot was leaning on the fence, and this is a hurricane fence, and at 4.5 feet. My son said it was leaning down with its elbows on top of the fence, resting with its chin down, watching them. I guess I like to watch children. I was young when I first heard it with a whistle at my bedroom window when it was open on cool nights and all kinds of strange things that I think of now, that maybe that wasn't my neighbor's dad sneaking down to do that. Why would he write? There's no punctuation. I'm so sorry, you guys. Let's try that again. When it was open on cool nights and all kinds of strange things that I think of now, that maybe that wasn't my neighbor's dad sneaking down to do that. Why would he write? Little things like that I think of. As I've sat here and binge watched your show, things come back to mind that makes me think I was hearing and having visits of him way back in the 70s. Heard him yell to me, and an ex-fiance was sitting out in the front yard one night when the electricity went out, and believe me, it's dark in the swamps. All of a sudden this yell was the deepest. I can't explain it. It was terrifying. I don't scare at all. I mean, I grew up with 2 older brothers and a dad that just loved to terrorize me and tell me as I was a kid that there were bears underneath the bed, alligators underneath the bed. So I've gotten kind of accustomed to that teasing and all that, and I just kind of blew off anything that people would say to be scary. But sitting there that night, dark, no moon, and to hear that god-awful deep scream like a howl was nerve-wracking, to say the least. My fiance at the time asked me, "What was that?" "That was an owl." I just laughed and said, "No." I said it wasn't the cat either, and he said, "Cat." I explained the Black Panther, which I had seen before walking in the woods. So we went in. It's these things that I think of that couldn't have been the sound of any animal that I know of. Wolves, coyotes, cats, bears, nothing. I've seen it more times than I care to choose, but I've never had a feeling of dread or danger. My kids never said they were not scared, although my niece and nephew were. I've had friends down there that have moved off to the Pacific Northwest, even seen it, heard it, all down in the big thicket. There's a lot of places to hide in those woods, rather swamps. Well, there's several other stories from kids I grew up with. There's several other stories from kids I grew up with. My kids, the neighbors, we all have them. Well, I hope that helps somebody down in Texas that could be watching your channel. The way the Cherokee think it's not to be scared of, but to be respectful of. The Cherokee up here in Oklahoma, where I live now on the res, have a name for Bigfoot. It's Anidagawee. Anidagawee. Bigfoot organization run by several tribal members that's up here in Adair County, called Mid-America Bigfoot Organization, I do believe. I guess it's the Cherokee in me and the way we feel about it, or him or her, lol. Whichever that makes me not be afraid of it. Another story, another time. Well, stay safe out there and keep your head up. Thanks for the platform you have, and keep up the good work, Carol. Carol, appreciate that share. I'm sorry if I butchered it. There's a bunch of missing punctuation, you guys, and I got missing punctuation comboed with my attention veering off down to the river and the bank behind me, so made me kind of maybe possibly butcher that email a little bit, and I apologize for that. Pretty sure straight to my right on that side of the river is native land. But I looked on Google Earth, and that whole chunk behind me from way around the corner and straight back is nothing. It's just dark, thick swamp, big cedars, and it goes all the way through, and then another river is on the far side of that chunk of land behind me, and then the 2 rivers come together and confluence about maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles that way. But there's nothing on that land behind me. Anyway, all right. Well, I've kind of lost my track of thought here, my focus. So I'll go wrap this up right now and get back to sharing some more shortly. I'm looking forward to getting home with the video that I've made today and reviewing it and see what's up. But anyway, let's start talking about the power shift. All right, amongst each other, amongst yourselves. Share it with your friends. Run that idea by people and take it very seriously, because I am. The power shift. We'll call it the Power Shift 2022, whatever, I don't give a shit. Either way, I want to see if the people can give the lying, deceitful, mainstream media news outlets a spanking. It's time. We have to. We have to. All right? Let's see if we can do it. And keep those emails coming in. Let's get those voices heard.